All right, so I think this concept of phantom atoms is ridiculous, to be honest. I don't think it makes any sense. But anyway, we're looking at an alkene here, all right? We know it's an alkene because there's a double bond between these two carbons. Basically, what we're trying to do here is find out, is this in the cis configuration or is it in the trans configuration, okay? It's very simple. So if it's in the trans configuration, that's going to mean same. I mean different. And if it's in the cis configuration, it's going to mean same. Okay. So what do we even do first? Well, what we're going to look at is the carbons that are attached to these sp2 carbons, all right? So just remember, these are sp2 carbons here. This is kind of what we're going to use to get started, but you're looking at these carbons here, and all you're doing is saying, hey, carbon, what are you attached to? That's it. You're saying, hey, carbon, what are you attached to? So if you look at this one, now he uses phantom atoms. I don't understand how that makes any sense because look at this carbon. What is it attached to? It's attached to one hydrogen and it's attached to carbon twice. So all you do, and you want to write these in the order of the highest atomic number gets the highest priority. So this carbon is attached to what? It's attached to carbon twice, and it's attached to a hydrogen. So that's its ranking. Let's keep that in mind. Okay, well, let's look at this carbon. What is this carbon attached to? Well, it's attached to hydrogen twice and carbon once. So we're just going to say carbon, hydrogen, hydrogen. Make sure I drew this right. CH2, CH2, CH3. Yep. Okay. So now we're going to compare the two. We're going to compare these two rankings. So if you look at carbon versus carbon, that's a tie. Carbon versus hydrogen, carbon wins. Carbon has a higher atomic number. So simply, this will get the number 1 priority. This will get the number 2 priority. And by this, I mean this entire chain, right? Priority, priority. Okay. To decide if this is trans or cis, if it's cis, this will have number 1 priority. If it's trans, this will have number 1 priority. So we need to figure out which one has number 1 priority. So we're going to do the same thing. Let's look at this carbon. Well, what is it attached to? Well, it's attached to hydrogen twice, and it's attached to carbon once. All right, so that's all you have to do there. Well, for now, so what did I say? Carbon once, hydrogen twice. Okay, well, let's look down here. This carbon kind of looks like the same thing, doesn't it? Hydrogen twice, carbon once. Now we have a problem because when we put these against each other, it's a tie. So we need to go to the next carbon, okay? So we're going to forget about the carbon we just looked at, right? This one's kind of out of the running. And we're going to look at the next carbon. We're going to look at this one and this one, okay? So this carbon, and remember, you're not going to connect back to like another carbon that you're already looking at. Because if you look at this, it's weird because you're only ranking 3 things, even though carbon has 4 bonds. So for this one, carbon is going to be attached to hydrogen twice and oxygen once. So that's the ranking we're going to use here. We're going to say oxygen, hydrogen, hydrogen. For this one here, it's connected to carbon 3 times. So we're just going to write carbon, carbon, carbon. So just remember, we're not using these rankings anymore. We're going to use these. So already we have oxygen versus carbon. Oxygen is larger, right? Barbecue chicken nuggets only fried. Oxygen is larger. It has a higher atomic number than carbon. So the one with the oxygen is going to get the number 1 ranking. This is going to get the number 2 ranking. And what do we have? Everything's on the same side. We have 1 and 1. Well, that's the confusing thing here, because you might be asking, well, how do you know which side is which? These are on the same. These are on the same. But if you look at it this way, these are different and these are different. And that makes it even more difficult because the plane that we separated this is here. But when you do your final rank, you are going to introduce a new plane through the entire double bond here. And those are going to be the sides that you're looking at. So, with that said, we have 1 and we have 1, which are on the same side. So this is in the cis configuration.